Today we are working on our side bed that has all of our squash and some very small corn and also some beans in it. So we covered it with this insect covering because the deer were coming through and eating, chomping on the beans and everything. So until we get our tunnel trellis up, this is just what we've been doing to deter the deer. So also underneath all of this is a cover crop that's kind of taken over. And you can see some of the beans like poking through here. These are like pumpkin over here. But we've kind of neglected it, and it just needs a little bit more space and room. So we are coming through with clippers to cut all of the cover crop, and then we're going to put this straw on top. Basically, when we did this before, I wasn't sure if we were going to, or if the cover crop was just going to keep growing, or if I cut it back. But you can see all this lush cover crop here, and these are our little squashes that are coming through. They're probably a little stressed, and that's okay. And what's great about this is that the soil is getting worked. Even if we don't get the fullest squash ever or the fullest beans ever, there are plants that are working the soil and improving the soil, and lots of bugs in there too. So that's what we're working on today. Wish us luck. Peaches is about to set this thing off, I think. Oh, it scared me too, Peach. That's our deer deterrent. So we're placing the cover crops around before we put the straw down. That means that all of this amazing material that it drew up from the soil, all of the good minerals and nutrition that it drew up is going back into the soil. It's called chop and drop. So he's placing it around all of the plants that we found in the jungle of, you can see these little squashes poking out. So he's placing it around there, and then what we did was we put this like a heavy mulch of straw around everything so that these get all the light that they need. You can see they're kind of bent over a little bit, but that way this will prevent, hopefully, the cover crop coming through again. If not, we'll just come back through and mulch again. But you can see our little plants that are a little sad. These are rainbow corn that will get nice and pretty. These are some pumpkins. There's some beans. There's different squash all along here. And we have to trim this all back too because that's all getting into the corn. You can see our little rainbow corn in here struggling. But this plant, or this bed, will get the full treatment today and look like this in the end. What do you think, Mr. Larkin?
Hard day's work trying to save these plants.
we won't be doing this exact method again. We will be doing cover crops, but I think cutting them down, heavily mulching, and then coming back, because these seedlings are a little stressed from competing with the other guys that were growing in here. But I think that'll give them a better chance next time. But we're learning. We're gardening, we're learning. It is hot over on this side of the house, which will be great when these guys do their thing. We are so incredibly hot, but we got everything mulched and found a lot of plants that are now wilted. But it's going to rain again tonight, or this afternoon rather. So that shouldn't be a problem. And they'll perk back up, I think. Aside from a couple that look like, but it's good. We still have squash and beans and corn growing in here, so. Yeah. Hey friends, so I am checking back in with the side bed progress after a week of after digging out all the plants, the squash and the corn and the beans. We put this insect netting across the top so it still gets 90% of the sun coming through, just to protect it from the deer, and things are perking back up. We have pumpkins in here, we have blue Hubbard squash, we have all kinds of squash. I think not all of them came up or were maybe saved when we did when we took out the cover crops, but we got a lot of them. So what we are planning to do with this side is on this edge we're going to put a trellis up to the house, and then hope that those beans and those squash grow along the trellis or tie them up onto the trellis so that we can have a little bit more shade kind of on along here and then be able to walk through there. How far up it's going to go this year, I don't know, but the plants are perking back up and that makes us feel a little bit better. So yeah, let's take a look. So if we just look through the screen or the netting here, we can see that this pumpkin has perked back up. Let's take a little peek underneath. So this pumpkin has perked back up. There's some beans over here that are perked back up into standing. If you remember at the beginning of the video, they were all wilted over, probably because they had some support already from the other cover crops. But they are looking a lot better. They've got some new growth on them as well, if you can see through that insect netting. And we're going to start experimenting with this trellis pretty soon here. These ones are looking incredible. I think those are the blue Hubbard squash. This is a brand new bed this year, so we weren't sure how great it was going to turn out, and we just kind of hope for the best. But like I said earlier, at least there's plants in it that are working the soil. You can see that little purple flower in there. That is vetch. Ooh, there we go. Oh, that's easier. So that little purple flower is vetch. That is one of the cover crops. And then this is fava bean on the left here. And then there's a squash right in the middle. So that is coming back up. We might have to go back through and mulch a little heavier again, but we'll see how it goes and we'll keep a closer eye on it. But for now, this is where we're at. Eventually we'll take this cover off, and I think we're gonna get another deer deterrent sprinkler for over here to just try to help protect the beans and the squash, so that they can grow nice and lushly up the trellis when we